Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Drum Show, the show where we like to demonstrate how marketing can change the world, and obviously also talk about how the world is changing marketing. This week we're going to take a deep dive into the UK regions, because earlier on this week we held the Roses Awards, so we've got a really good perspective on what the creative side of things is looking like. But we're also interested in how the regions are doing financially, so we really want to understand, are the regions on the cusp of properly challenging the big metropolis of London? And to discuss this with me, I'm delighted to say I've got a crack panel. We have Meg Price from Be The Fox, who is also chair of the Roses Creative Awards, and we have Peter Chapp, who is co-founder of the Wow Company. Surprisingly, for a creative show, it's you're obviously an accountant.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on.
But you're an accountant that understands creativity as opposed to a creative accountant.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Got it right. Yeah. So obviously we've got quite a lot to get through this week, but before we get started with this discussion, I thought it might be quite good to give you an insight into the other news the Drum has been looking at over the last few days. And to do that, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Hannah Bowler, one of the Drum's reporters. And I believe you're going to give us the 3 top stories in 2 minutes.
I am indeed.
Yeah. Now, it used to be, you need to be honest here and say, it used to be 3 top stories in 3 minutes. However, Hannah was just too good at that. So it's now the new challenge is the 3 best stories in 2 minutes. I've got a stop clock here.
Oh,
ready? Are you ready?
I am ready.
Ready,
yeah.
steady, go.
Fantastic. So I thought we'd kick off by talking about the Netflix Roku rumours. Now, yesterday it kind of emerged that Netflix might be up to buy Roku, which would really shift things in the streaming space. Now, everyone knows that Netflix is trying to push into advertising. And so to do this, Roku would be a really good steal. The Drum went out and asked a few kind of media experts their opinion, and they all kind of said it'd be a great thing, although there were some kind of hesitations that it would kind of shift the balance of power in the kind of streaming wars where Disney was kind of looking to kind of come up as the front runner. So it's a really interesting time, but again, just rumours, so like nothing substantial on that at the moment. Kind of away from business news, it'd be good to take a little look at the old Aldi. So Aldi this week, Cuthbert, the caterpillar, I hope I said that correctly, he is back in stores after a very lengthy battle with M&S over the kind of Colin versus Cuth, who would come on top. When this kind of broke out last year, there was quite a lot of trolling from the 2 social media kind of platforms of M&S and also Aldi. How am I doing for time? 1 minute. And so it was quite an interesting time. It was very funny. And again, M&S has been trolled again by Aldi. So to celebrate the launch of Cuth back in stores, it did a really funny out-of-home campaign, putting billboards straight outside M&S's front door. So yeah. Watch out, M&S. Aldi's back to haunt you again. Sticking with supermarkets, this week, Tesco was hit with an ad ban from the ASA for greenwashing claims against its vegan burgers. 1 minute. Okay, got time. So for this, the ASA basically said that Tesco couldn't have the claim that its vegan burgers were better for the planet, which it claims was like unsubstantiated. Tesco rebuffed it, saying that it was just a strapline. But the ASA said, you can't claim it. It falls under greenwashing. Okay, so Tesco joins the likes of Innocent, Oatly, and Outpro, who have also been called out quite recently by the ASA. Boom. Did I do it?
You did actually, well done. That
Nice.
was really good.
Okay.
So next week, you can come back. 3 stories in 1 minute 30.
Okay, all right.
Got to keep going. But obviously, interesting couple of stories there. I mean, interesting that Netflix featured in the Roses, didn't they? They had
brilliant.
the trailer for Ricky Gervais, putting benches out, and also Cuthbert is a regular presence at Summer Awards as well, though this year not in the Roses, so maybe they'll be back. But obviously the Roses, which was held in Manchester, was great. We did an in-person event, first time in ages. We had about 200 people there. You were there, Meg. You did a really great speech. But it did seem to underline the quality of the work which is coming out of regions at the moment. And I thought to give people a taste of that work, what better place to start than the winner of our Grand Prix, which was BBC Creative.
Yes, an absolutely wonderful piece. We're going to show it now, aren't we?
We're going to show it now, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to see it first, and then we can come back and talk about it,
I won't talk
if that's okay with you.
Yeah, of course.
The Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 starts 23rd July across the BBC.
Well, really strong stuff there. I mean,
Absolutely beautifully crafted. It's just so enticing. You want to keep watching. It makes you want to be there. It has so much emotion, and just everyone loved this.
yeah, and obviously BBC Creative are a commercial arm within the BBC. I think they're based in Salford.
Yes.
And I just sort of, they're definitely bringing a whole new dynamic to the sort of the creative atmosphere and culture of the city.
Yes, they're bringing the brilliant BBC standard and craft, but with all the brilliant stuff of the commercial world, and it's coming together to create this absolutely fine piece of work. I mean, it won hands down. It was fantastic.
Yeah, one hands down, it won a lot of awards. I think people were joking. I think the BBC got more gongs on Tuesday night than the Olympic team got the Olympics themselves.
Yes, they did very well.
But if you go onto the website, you can see all the winners, and you'll also know that as well as winning for the Summer Olympics in Tokyo, they also won for the Winter Olympics as well.
Yes.
Two really good trailers.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting about the Roses, and I don't know if you agree, was I think the sort of the scene outside London is very strong in terms of how it uses humour. So it's I think they use humour more effectively than any other part.
Well, in some ways we're the underdogs, and the underdogs always know how to use humour to their advantage, and so it's within us. We're not based on ego. We're based on we're kind of like the mongrels, aren't we? That are making we've got that little fight in us, and humour and wit is a brilliant way to express yourself with a little bit of energy.
Yeah, they don't take themselves too seriously.
No, we don't.
But on the other hand, they're very good at serious content as well.
There was a lot of serious
Yeah.
stuff in the awards. I think on the back of COVID, I mean, I don't want to down our industry, but we're not one of the industries that were crucial for the country's survival, were we, during COVID? And so it's very nice that we can actually do something that's positive, and we all want to do something that's positive, but especially off the back of COVID, to make things better. And there was a lot of work that really did that. That's really changing things to the positive. It was great to see.
Yeah. And I thought, to give everyone a flavour of the sort of work we're looking at, we can maybe split this into two sections, the sort of the fun section.
Go for
and
it.
the
Yes,
serious
yes,
section,
yeah.
just to give everyone an idea.
Yeah.
And one commercial, I think the first one we're going to have a look at was done by Greggs, or by their agency Hope and Glory, and I thought this was great, even though it only won a silver. I thought it was one of my favourite pieces of work in the competition. Let's have a look. Brilliant idea. I love this because it's quite funny. It's also reached its commercial objectives. It's a really good way of reinforcing Fun Greg's brand. It's a really good collaboration for Primark.
I mean, it was a piece of genius putting that collaboration together, and again, the humour that is kind of so tongue-in-cheek, so cheeky, and of course, it's going to get a lot of social attention. So the reach and the press that comes off of the back of it is going to be highly successful for both brands. Yeah.
And I have to admit, after watching that up in Manchester, when I got back to Euston Station, the first thing I did was bought myself a vegan sausage roll.
Yes.
And a new shirt as well from Primark.
But you've ruined my segue there, because I was going to say, I'm talking of veganism.
Sorry.
I also really like this ad by a company called Skylark Media down in Bristol. And they did quite a good fun ad for, again, a serious subject to sort of defend veganism.
Yes.
And it was for the charity Viva. Shall we have a look?
Try vegan.
I want meat.
Just meat.
Sounds good.
Pulled pork.
I'm so hungry. I could eat a horse.
Just meat delivered fresh to your door with a free gift for our new customers.
Try going vegan today.
Well, it was actually quite an interesting backstory to that, wasn't there? I mean, you know, it was a nice little commercial, good fun, serious point, well made, but they also had a very innovative approach to actually how they made the commercial, didn't they?
Yes, they crowdsourced, and so it meant they were really invigorating the community that existed, but they managed to do a lot. They got a lot of money for media spend, so they reached a whole new audience, and it's a community that are active and that want to spread the word, and they could really get involved in making that happen. So yeah, they did very well, very successful, but also it felt positive to everyone that was involved.
Yeah, and it's quite good to see vegans not taking themselves too seriously.
Yes, absolutely.
But they get a bit of fun on occasion, gets out the avatars. But the other one from one extreme to another, you know, a campaign which has done consistently well the roads down the years is Iron Brew. And again, they had a really good night in Manchester, and this is one of the commercials they showed. I think you like it.
Here she comes.
You look prettier than a can of Iron Brew.
I love its cream soda taste.
It's not cream soda.
No. It's lemony.
Lemony?
It tastes like ginger.
Get your dancing shoes, dollface.
I love the kiss at the end.
I know.
Did you get...
That's going to get everyone talking, isn't it? So, yeah, a good punchline.
Yeah, it's a great brand. I mean, well, Iron Brew in Scotland, I don't know if this is still the case, but it's one of the perhaps only market in the world where Iron Brew sales still outstrip Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And it's obviously because of that sort of position, which is very funny. But I couldn't help noticing, obviously, the use of a stair lift in that commercial, because this sort of ring a bit of a bell. I remember speaking to Leith's creatives a while back, and they said it's one of the jokes in the agency that it's a bit like working a phrase into a speech, but that sort of equivalent of that for TV commercials is, can they get a stair lift into one of the commercials? And those with long memories will remember they've actually done this before. So maybe sort of digging way back into the past, this is the first Iron Brew stair lift commercial. I suppose nobody snogged her at the end.
No, but they had to take it a bit further, didn't they? But it's amazing that a brand as big as Iron Brew can have a stair lift as their thing that gets everyone remembering them.
Yeah. We obviously also run the Chip Shop Awards, which is you know, basically an event where we make up categories, but maybe we should do next year we should have a best use for stair lift.
Yes, okay. I'm happy to take on that challenge. We'll bring it into
You heard it first here. But also, as we said, the industry doesn't take itself too seriously, but it doesn't mean it can't do really serious work. And there's a really good examples of I suppose, social purpose campaigns. And one of the ones I know you put it to light, and I know this because it won your Cheers Award, was a commercial which was called That Guy by Stand. So good to get your views on it. But let's take a look at it first.
Ever called a girl dull?
Or whistled at her walking down the street?
Ever stared at a woman on a bus or
Said to your mate, I'd do that.
you ever give a girl a compliment? Like nice?
And wondered why you didn't get a thank you.
Ever slid into a girl's DMs. They went ahead and just showed her it.
You ever bought a lassie dinner and felt that meant she owed you something?
You ever got 3 shots in a row hoping you'd get a shot of her? Then what? Bundled her wasted into a taxi and took her back to yours.
You ever guilt-tripped her? Or pressured her?
Or pushed her into it. And then left feeling like a lad.
See, most men don't look in the mirror and see a problem.
But it's staring us right in the face. Sexual violence starts long before you think it does. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, it's really powerful stuff, actually, isn't it?
It's incredibly powerful. And I think it's very clever the way it takes us from kind of the commonplace and subtle expressions of sexual entitlement to the horrific ones, and manoeuvres us quickly on a journey to show us how important it is that we change our words. And it placed all the onus to change on men. And I love that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Another thing which was interesting, it's such a simple idea. Just sort of filmed very simply, but it's attention to detail. In terms of the copywriting, the facial expression, the casting, how they've dressed, it's absolutely spot on.
Yes, and the range of men that they used in it, and there were subtleties in the copywriting in terms of how one person's expression led on to the next person's, that only when you really think about it you take it on board, but it meant it worked so well as a piece whilst having these individual stories within it. So very clever.
Yeah, and also brilliant acting.
Yes, yeah.
Very convincing.
Yeah, they felt like real people, didn't they? Not actors in those parts,
But the other commercial, which was also very powerful, was a campaign which was done by an organisation called Medell Trust, which is an anti-slavery. They're against human trafficking. They campaign against that. Again, really powerful. But let's take a quick look at that as well.
He branded me. He made me carry his name for years. Took everything away from me. Everything. Even my freedom. I fell in love with a man, but in fact, he was actually my trafficker. He began to control me, and soon I discovered he never wanted a family with me, because he already had one. He sold me to many clients. I was only his business. I was trafficked all across Europe when I ended up in UK. I felt alone. But in the end, God made a plan for me to be free again. Today I feel stronger, but his name has marked me beyond my skin.
Usually the cover-ups I do on people are because people are tired of the tattoos or bored of them, whereas this was so different. You're not just fixing a tattoo, you're helping fix that person.
So we're looking to help as many people as possible through this project. That means that we're building connections across the tattoo community to transform these tattoos from bad memories into a part of their future. We also want to help the tattoo community recognise the signs of modern slavery so that we can help people know if someone comes into their studio, perhaps doesn't feel completely comfortable, something doesn't seem right, and that they will recognise the signs and know how to raise their concern.
My dream for the future is I want to become a nurse and live with my family again. I want justice. Justice for what they have done to me and to all the other survivors.
Again, an amazing film and a really interesting cause. It was one of those things that actually, according to Google anyway, I think there's still 25 million modern slaves in the world.
Wow.
Which doesn't include people who are in bonded labour, which, to put in perspective, is actually double the amount of people who are kidnapped from West Africa in the 17th and 18th century. So obviously this is it's a huge problem that hasn't gone away, and this is a really good campaign that draws attention to just a small part of it.
Yeah, that film gives you shivers. It really takes you to the personal level. So, because when you hear those numbers, they're so huge, they are hard to comprehend, and you sort of block them away, and it draws it back to the personal life. It gives you this idea of hope and this idea that we can make change. So it's very understated, and I think that's the magic of it. Yeah, lovely piece.
It's good. But obviously a lot of really good video, commercials, digital work. But there was actually quite good sort of old media stuff as well. And I just wanted to sort of finish this section with showing one nice 48-sheet poster.
Yeah.
I don't even people know what a 48-sheet poster is now, but they still exist out there. And this is one for the health service in Northern Ireland. And there we are. And in Northern Ireland, apparently it is illegal to smoke now. Actually illegal to smoke if somebody is under 18 in your car. So this was to draw attention to that legislation, but it's probably quite a strong poster, even if it's not illegal.
It's very arresting, isn't it? And I think, you know, when you get things that are almost invisible, like they're stating in that, to bring them into your mind and to you can imagine yourself surrounded by it. It's very tactile, and you can almost feel what it would be like for a child in the back of the car.
You can smell it.
You can smell it. So it's very clever. Yeah.
But obviously, I think we've established, Peter, that the regions are in rude health in terms of their creativity. However, you've been studying the sector for years, and I know you've still got strong views that despite the fact the work is just as good, they can't command the same price as the London agencies.
Whether they can't command or they choose not to command is a really interesting debate, because I've been benchmarking agencies now for the last decade, and what I find fascinating is when you look at how agencies price, first of all, 87% still have what I think is quite an outdated pricing model, which is fixed pricing, where they scope the work and they charge a price based on an hourly rate. And there's a lot of evidence to say those agencies that move away from that to value pricing do better. But those that do base it on an hourly rate, the vast majority still do. There is a gap between what the London agencies charge and what the regional agencies charge. And if, as you can see here, the gap between the London agencies and what's going on in Scotland is there's a 25% differential. Now, my question is, are the agencies in London 25% better than the agencies in Scotland or Central England or Bristol? Well, no. The answer is no. There is an incredible wealth of creativity and talent, and the output, as we've seen today, is stunning. So what is holding those agencies back? Previously, it used to be a case of, well, we're anchored to our cost base. So agencies in London had higher cost base due to their office and their staff costs. Well, that's changing as well. But really, this isn't about cost base, this is about confidence. And what I'd encourage any agency out there to think about is look at the quality of the work, look at the impact that it's having, and use that as encouragement to say, I can charge what we're worth. And that's the encouragement that hopefully these awards and just looking internally at the wonderful creative talent that agencies have in the regions will give people to charge what they're worth.
Yeah, I know you've also got strong views because this is always, I mean, I've known you for years and we've talked about this a lot in the past. But times seem to be changing now. And obviously because of the pandemic and they've got new working practices. How will remote working, do you think, impact in this sort of situation?
Well, things changed dramatically as a result of COVID. We've surveyed agencies recently and looking at the larger ones, so those above $1 million, actually the vast majority are going to have an office in the future, which surprised me actually. I thought they would be dispensed with the office, but the vast majority are going to have an office. The interesting thing is that only 1% are mandating a return to 5 days in the office. So the 5 days in the office has gone. It has simply gone. In fact, if you look at this stat now, 27% of agencies say it's entirely up to their team how often they work in their office. So now we have increasingly a workforce that can work from anywhere. More recruitment's being done online. And a really interesting stat, again, driven by COVID. If you look at before COVID, we asked the question, what percentage of agencies hire outside of a commutable distance? And the answer was 1 in 5, or less than 1 in 5, 18% before COVID. That figure is now 71%. So we're approaching 3/4 of agencies are now hiring people not within a commutable distance. Now, what this means for the regions is that previously, if you were an agency in Bristol or in Manchester or Birmingham, you could only hire people within a 25-mile radius of where you were. That was your limit on talent. Now you have an unlimited pool of talent. By the way, not just in the UK, this has expanded our minds. We can hire talent anywhere in the world, and we can compete with anyone in the world. And that is a wonderful opportunity for agencies everywhere, in the regions, in London, all over the place.
Yeah, and obviously you're a sort of, you're an agency which is not in London as well, so...
Yes, I mean, I think the other thing is that there's creatively there's this massive desire for diversity in all senses and authentic, voices from the brands, and so that means they need different perspectives, and that's also about coming from different regions and having lived in the countryside, not just in big cities. So. I mean, I've got a question to you. I mean, how will it work? Because with the wages, presumably in the regions, are going to match your agencies and the wages in the cities, and therefore it's going to mean that the cost will go up anyway for the companies that are outside.
Well, the key metric for any agency watching this is your gross profit margin. So that's looking at. I mean, there's a complex formula that I won't go into, but basically the money you make on the job, looking at your chargeable wages and any freelance costs, and again, so much of it comes down to confidence. For agencies, that gross profit margin average is 44%. But if you look at consultancies, who do pretty much the same thing as agencies, they just call themselves consultancies, the average for those is 55%. So there's an 11% differential. And the difference between that 44 and 55 is consultancies are just much better at focusing on the value that they deliver and positioning themselves, finding a niche in the market, and showcasing that value. So costs will rise, yes, but our job as leaders is to work out how we can price our services according to the value that we add. And actually, you can blow that 55% out the water. There's some stunning results available for you if you can rethink that. So in many ways, it doesn't matter what your costs are. Our job is to focus on that margin and to showcase our value.
Yeah, and I love the fact that we managed to sort of get accountancy into a creative conversation. So basic message is that has to happen more often. People have got to understand the impact their work has on businesses and charge accordingly.
Absolutely, and profit shouldn't be a dirty word. Profit empowers us or is the fuel for our journey. Whatever great mission we want to go on, whatever purpose we have for our agencies, whatever good we want to do in the world, we will not get very far if we don't have that money, if we don't have the profit behind us. So profit is the fuel for our journey. And our research shows that the agencies that are making the biggest impact are the ones that also are making the most profit. They use that as fuel for their journey.
That's brilliant. Well, on that point, I think that's actually all we've got time for. Everyone's got to go and make some money now.
Yeah.
But once again, thanks to my amazing panel. Thanks for these insights. Thanks to you guys for watching. Just to let you know, if you want to find out more about the Roses Creative Awards, all the results are actually online. It was actually the very first in-person event we've done in ages in Manchester. In fact, first Manchester event done in 2 years. And we're going to show you some highlights at the end of this little broadcast as well. But all that remains for me to do now is thank my panel once again. Thanks to you guys for watching. And I should also maybe thank our Roses sponsors, who were GB News and Become. Thanks guys for your support. See you next week.